Hello, everyone. We started.
That's the beginning.
It is. Welcome to Don't Get Your Hopes Up, a podcast that you probably shouldn't listen to, but you're here now, so you might as well stay.
Welcome.
Welcome. Welcome
to this clearly overhyped show.
It's very overhyped, yes. It's too late. You've drank the Kool-Aid. Now you're going down with the rest of us.
To enjoy a nice plate of butt salad.
Butt salad. Butts made out of salad.
Man, people don't see the stream. This is the best part, man. This is like some serious, like...
Rump greens.
Rump greens, yeah. Crack leaf. I was kind of like...
Crack leaf. Yeah, crack leaf.
Anyways.
Asparagus.
Yes, yeah.
So that's our first topic, but I think we're done with it now. Introductions. No one has any idea who we are otherwise. In fact, I forget if I don't introduce myself to myself every morning. My name is Jeff Bridges. And joining me here, as always, is my good buddy, Gary Busey.
Why? 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 Are you serious?
One of us had to be Busey.
I'm not talking to fucking
Siri is just suddenly like, yup.
Just chiming in over there.
I would like to agree, please. I am Josh Allen, a.k.a. Laura, joined by Mike B, a.k.a. Fony. I work for Blizzard. Anything I say here doesn't matter. It's a personal opinions. Just throwing that disclaimer out. And I think we're good.
That's all. That's sure. That has legal standing, I'm sure.
It does, actually.
Does it? All right.
So, interesting story. And I can actually speak somewhat at
no, wait, real quick before you go on. Does this also apply to the people who put these topics are not my own? I understand that you're getting socially crucified over things, but
so here's the story of it. Yes.
Go ahead. Okay.
TLDR. Yes. So here's why that works, and why that's important, and why people have to do that. Ages ago, when like reviews first started to be a thing online, this primarily came about when e-commerce first started to become a thing, and sites like Amazon were first starting to come together. There was a fairly widespread practice. You still see it from time to time, called astroturfing, which is basically like if I were to own a company and I were to produce a butt salad cookbook. 50 best ways to make butt salad, and I were to put this cookbook up on Amazon, and then I were to get everyone on my staff to go onto Amazon, buy a copy, and leave a review that now says verified Amazon purchase, that says this is the best butt salad I've ever had in my entire life. That's illegal. You are not allowed to do that. It's very much against the law. That's a practice called astroturfing.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to prove whether something is or is not astroturfing when you are you are an employee at a company. And it works the other way as well. Like if I were to go onto a competitor's butt salad cookbook and say, wow, this butt salad is actual literal shit, and I don't mean the shit that came out of the butt salad, I mean this is actual just shit. I ordered this off of Amazon and received a box of poop. Then that would also be illegal, because now I'm commenting on a competitor's thing, leaving a false review. That's basically where that came from.
Okay.
As a result, those same laws, which haven't really been updated since, also apply to things like social media. They apply to YouTube. They apply to streaming. They apply pretty much everywhere electronically that you can share your opinion about something. And even some places that aren't electronic that you can share your opinion about something. So that is why it's actually important for me on this show to every once in a while mention that I work for Blizzard, but that this is just my own personal opinions, because I need to make sure that I have set an expectation that everything I say here is just me. I need to make sure that people know that I work for Blizzard, so I can't be seen as trying to sway opinions secretively. Like, then my biases become somewhat known at that point. Like, obviously, I'm going to say positive things about Blizzard games. And if I say a negative thing about another game, people know that I work for Blizzard, so they can sort of make their own assertions out of that.
Sure.
So that's why that happens, and that's why that's why, like Blizzard, we say, essentially, we have this training session, which I actually teach along with our, I forget exactly what her title is now. I think it's Director of Community and PR or something. I don't know. Very, very senior person. She's very nice. And we basically tell everyone, if you're going to talk about video games, then you have to put this in your social media profile. So that's why that happens.
Huh.
And it's more about the company protecting themselves, because basically, as long as we've told everyone that they have to do that, if someone then doesn't do it, then that's on them. But we have to have made the effort so that then if someone were to say, Blizzard is obviously hiring people and then telling them to go do this, we can say, no, actually, we have this training course where we tell everyone to not do that. And it's in our policies that are readable here, and so on and so forth. So that way that accusation falls flat, and then people go, oh, so this is just someone at your company that didn't follow your policy, and we can go, yes, we can then follow up with punitive measures against that person, yada, yada, yada.
Huh.
So yeah, that's a fascinating story.
Yeah, I'm looking at I just was like, what I put on my Twitter bio? Published photographer, licensed musician, certified donkey master.
Yeah.
So if I guess, yeah, okay.
You don't technically have to say.
Oh yeah, I don't say it because I don't work for anybody. Like I don't work. I work for myself. But still, I was just curious. I was like, because my point was like, and I was looking from the wrong direction. I think when people put, their opinions of my own, I always thought it was kind of like, oh, that's kind of a stupid way. But really, it wasn't my opinions on my own part that's the focus. It's the disclosure that I work for a company. Yeah. That's the important part. So I was looking at this the wrong way. I think I was like looking at my tweets are my own or whatever, and I was like, that's not going to save you. And mostly from a social perspective, it's not going to save you. But from a legal perspective, interesting. That's because of the preceding point of I work for a company. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah. And realistically, my tweets are my own is in some cases not enough. You have to indicate like what company you work for, because I can say my tweets are my own, and man, do I fucking love World of Warcraft. And that doesn't really get across the, like, okay, this is someone who works at Blizzard saying that they really like World of Warcraft.
Yeah, totally.
So in significantly less boring news, actually, I don't know about significantly less boring. Okay, explain this to me, because I saw that it was a giant wall of text, and then my eyes glazed over, and then I saw there was a second giant wall of text, and then I died.
All right. So, Bulletstorm's maker Gearbox. You ever play Bulletstorm?
I think I played it once for about 5 minutes.
I think everybody played it once for about 5 minutes. It's a fun
wasn't
game.
It like free on Steam at some point, or isn't it like free to play? Or was
maybe at some point they had it on some kind of giveaway or whatever. But when it came out, it had really good like mechanics in terms of like movement and all that stuff. It felt really fun, but the rest of the game kind of fell flat. And still, surprisingly, the Metacritic score is actually pretty high. It's like an 80-something%. I actually thought it would be like a 60% game, right? But whatever. I think most people generally agree that it's great mechanics, okay in terms of longevity. So Gearbox teamed up with G2A to sell keys through the service, right? Like an official partnership. G2A typically is like an eBay style marketplace where people can take keys that they've acquired and sell them through a listing service through their service, right? Yeah. The problems with that we've seen in the past is that they don't really have a very good protection and verification system. They don't have any protection and verification system, actually. And so what ends up happening is I can go and buy a ton of keys, like direct from the developer or whatever, and then I can do a chargeback on that. Keys are still valid. I just take them and sell them on or I don't necessarily do that in order. I could, buy them and then sell them on G2A's site and then do a chargeback, and I get the money back from that, and I get the money from when I sold them there. The developer ends up losing the money, and I end up making out like a bandit. Now, unfortunately, G2A gets, they basically wash their hands clean of this, because they could just say, well, this is the user doing this, and we have the buyer protection, so we could save the buyer. And that's the thing that I see, like, a lot of the comments, people are like everyone said it's scam. I've been buying keys there for years. It's like, fuck you. It's not about you.
Yeah.
It's not about you being scammed. It's about the user, the developer being scammed. And so,
in some cases, it is about you, the user, being scammed as well. But that's a small enough percentage that you could buy a whole ton of keys from G2A and it will never happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't matter if it's 2% of people that use the site. Like, that's still a significant margin.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and for the record, it's higher than 2%.
yeah. So, with this announcement, Total Biscuit was basically saying, he said he's not going to cover Gearbox games anymore, and I believe he also said he's going to pull any coverage that he has of the game that's already existing. And then that ended up like taking out, and the reason why is because he cited the essential fraud, and also deception and stuff like that for and the way that the G2A service punishes developers, especially small developers. Well, this actually resonated with Gearbox in such a way, whether it be oh my god, our social standing, or whether it be, oh my god, think of the developers, whatever, it resonated there, and they reached out to Total Biscuit. Total Biscuit had a conference call with them, and they went over. They essentially were asking him, hey, can you provide like sources and everything? And so, of course, there's plenty of sources out there, including stuff directly from developers with data. Tiny Build, for example, had a pretty lengthy write-up and kind of a bunch of graphs and stats and everything, kind of displaying how these things impact them. Certain it was Tiny Build, and it just the call ultimately ended up, he explained his piece and everything, and I was like, okay, cool. Later, they actually made a statement, Gearbox did, saying that, and here I'll read part of it. It says, Gearbox Publishing heard loud and clear the concerns voiced by John Total Biscuit Bane, which originally had a space in Total Biscuit, and also Bane was spelled B-A-N-E, but that's been corrected. Gearbox was then provided with a lot of documentation on the subject, after which John was gracious enough to spend time across the last 2 days with our head of publishing, Steve Gibson, to put together a proposal and deadline for G2A to act upon.
Yeah. I was just reading through these bullets as well, and lol bullets, because Bulletstorm. This is some serious shit.
Yeah.
Like, this proposal is intense. Like, I don't know. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off and
no.
break you off midstream.
It is. It totally is.
Yeah. So, like, basically, their demands are that G2A has to commit to. There's 4 key things here. One is that within 30 days, they make their customer fraud protection totally free instead of a separate paid subscription service, which, by the way, is already bullshit. I think you mentioned this before, but like the fact that you have to pay for not getting scammed is a scam. That's literally a protection racket. That's the definition of a protection racket. So they're saying, okay, within 30 days, before the launch of Bulletstorm on Steam, then G2A has to make this free for everybody. Okay? Within 90 days, oh, sorry, I think I'm reading this long. I think I'm reading this. The
first bullet point was correct.
Within 30 days, and then... sorry, it's within 30 days of G2A making a public commitment, which has to happen before Bulletstorm's Steam launch. So not 30 days prior to Bulletstorm launching on Steam.
Oh, okay, yes, yeah, you're right.
G2A before
all of these are before public commitment, basically.
Yeah, they have to make these commitments before Bulletstorm will launch on Steam. And then within 30 days of that commitment, G2A makes their fraud protection free to everybody. Within 90 days, they will open up a web service or API to certified developers and publishers to search for and flag for immediate removal keys that are fraudulent. That's a big deal, and that's something that I know a lot of developers and publishers have been hounding G2A for a while, and they've been like, look, it's fine if you want to run your like third-party sales website, but we as developers and publishers want to be able to look at these keys and go, that one's not genuine, that one's not genuine, and be able to set something up that will flag those immediately and remove them from your website. And it also asserts that access has to be free of charge and will not require payment by the content holders. Within 60 days, they want to implement throttling for non-certified developers and publishers at the title, user ID, and account payable levels for a fraud flagging process. Basically saying that they want to be able to say that if you're not a pre-certified seller, that there has to be some sort of throttling so that you can't just list a whole ton of keys, have them sold and gone before the developer has time to actually investigate them and flag them.
Right.
And then within 30 days, they're talking about having a restructure to the payment system so that people who wish to buy and sell legitimate keys are given a clear, simple fee structure that's easy to understand and contains no hidden or obfuscated charges. And I like the final note that they put on this bullet, which is join the ranks of other major marketplaces.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So go on.
So it's I told Biz didn't think anything's gonna happen. It's funny, while he was reading it, because I listened to he actually has a video where he reads it out because you don't want to read this giant wall of text here. While he was reading it, I was like, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, for sure.
And the reason why is because I'm fairly certain that G2A is much bigger than Gearbox. In terms of they're definitely bigger in terms of employees, and I am like 100% certain they're way bigger in terms of revenue. This may be another social hit, but they've had this happen before, and they've just kind of okay, and they just shrugged it off, and no headlines were made about G2A for a little while, and then here we are 6 months later, we have another G2A headline, and they weather this one too, and they'll get over it, and that's pretty much it. I don't think that Gearbox has the leverage to make them lose money on things like the fraud protection. Actually, all of these things stand to potentially lose them money. And the fact that they won't act on any of this stuff, I feel kind of as an admittance of guilt, saying that, oh yeah, we probably shouldn't put time on this because we'd probably lose money.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't see any of this stuff happening. Maybe the fraud protection free, but that's pure margin. Like that is 100% margin. Like the percentage of keys they sell versus or percentage of loss in the number of keys they sell is probably so fucking small that's basically 99.9% margin, whatever the amount is that they sell those things for, percentage wise.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't see this as doing any damage to G2A long term. I see this more as opportunity for Gearbox to be like, whoa, hang on, let's back off from this.
Mm-hmm.
Which it seems like is what they're doing, so that's cool.
Yeah, and I think if Gearbox, the only way they could have possibly really gotten some leverage on this, I think they didn't have a choice in this case, right? They had to make a move, but I think it would have worked out in everyone's favor. Like I'm kind of just sitting here like, why couldn't it have been the next Borderlands? Like why couldn't it have been a game that's not old and just did the first time around? Like if it was Borderlands, maybe then it could have been a thing. But
that's kind of actually I think lends a little bit more weight to Gearbox in this argument, though, in that it kind of shows that they don't like. Gearbox doesn't need G2A for the next Borderlands. That shit will sell on its fucking self. So it does kind of mean that, slightly contrary to what you were saying before, like obviously G2A, they're doing well for themselves, what with all their stolen goods that they're moving. Fences usually make a lot of money. But like Gearbox they're not tiny, man. Like they do have some serious credentials under their belt.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think the other part of it too is this kind of helps in a weird way, can help other publishers realize like, wait, shit, we need to actually be standing up to this. Like I know a lot have been, and this is the part again where I mentioned that I work for Blizzard Entertainment and I'm speaking on my own behalf and that I am not involved in any.
You didn't even know this was happening until before the show. So.
Seriously, yeah. I didn't know this was happening until the show, and I'm not involved in any negotiations with G2A or aware of any negotiations with G2A on Blizzard's end. So just for the record, I'm going to say some vague things. I'm not talking about Blizzard. I know that there have been developers and publishers who have been trying to work kind of behind the scenes and say, okay, yeah, G2A, you make a lot of money, and you as a result sort of inject a lot of money back into various parts of the gaming industry, because they you know, like, they sponsor a lot of esports teams, just as one example.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of publishers have been, or at least some publishers, have been trying to, have been trying to sort of work with them behind the scenes and say, like, well, maybe if we lay out our terms politely, then they'll just agree to them. But it's never really been happening publicly like this before. And so my hope is that this will sort of help other people, other publishers, realize that, okay, maybe we actually do need to take a stand here. Because honestly, the biggest thing that happens with stuff like this is people worry about what's the reaction going to be.
Yeah.
And if this goes well for Gearbox, then other developers and publishers will be like, yes, us too. Yes, we are also upset by this and would like to take a stand against this obviously terrible thing that's been going on. You know, like, oftentimes it takes one company doing something and getting a good reaction and response out of it for then other companies to do the same thing.
Yeah. So that'd be good for awareness, I think. But ultimately, I think G2A could shrug that off. And I hate to be like, I'm not championing them or anything like that, but I just feel like because of the way they make money is they don't need developers to endorse them. You know, as long as players are the ones that are still around and, you know, still using the service, then they can give fuck all about developer support.
I don't think that's entirely true.
Well, no, because the service is powered by people who get keys and then they sell them on the service to players. So their revenue is direct from that. They may make some money with partnerships and all that stuff, right? But ultimately, they'll still stay afloat just based off their core. And so that's what I'm saying. It'd be great if a bunch of developers, you know, said, fuck these guys, from an awareness level. But ultimately, it's really up to the players to make that decision.
I don't think that's entirely true for a few reasons. I'm going to disagree. So here's a few reasons why I think G2A wants to stay on publishers' good side. One, a lot of the major publishers, especially, and major esports organizations, a significant portion of G2A's awareness and marketing comes from their sponsorship of esports teams, comes from their sponsorship of like Twitch streamers and so on. If Twitch were to say, you're not allowed to have G2A sponsorships on your Twitch streams anymore, that kind of fucks G2A over in a hurry, because that's where a large number of their sales actually comes from, and their marketing actually comes from. I
just want to note, so you're talking about esports, League of Legends has banned them. Riot has banned them from sponsoring their stuff. Yeah,
and that's a good... And I happen to know that a lot of other companies, as soon as Riot did that, went, maybe we should do this too. Mm-hmm. And some actually already have. I don't know how public those different things are, so I'm not gonna say who I know of that's already done that. But
sure.
But like, if Twitch were to get involved, I think that would be a pretty big blow against G2A. The other side of it too is, as more and more developers and public, like, a lot of them have been sort of playing nice, but there actually are potential lawsuits against G2A here. And if they were to open up, like, if a few publishers were to get together and open up a lawsuit and say, look, we have pretty solid evidence that G2A is knowingly trafficking and facilitating the sale of stolen keys and is refusing to do anything about it, that's a big problem for them as well. At the very least, it's the sort of thing that these publishers would be able to, just because of the way that the law works, they would be able to sort of strong arm them by getting the better lawyers and getting more lawyers and so on. Yeah. Just because half the time, the more money you can throw at a lawsuit, the more more likely you are to win it.
Sure. Yeah.
I also think the fact that G2A is actually attempting to work with companies directly now, like Gearbox, is an indicator that maybe they're not actually doing as well as you might think. They probably almost certainly get hit with a lot of chargebacks, because people say, wait a second, this key didn't work after I bought it, so I'm just going to charge back my amount that I paid on my credit card. They probably get hit with a lot of that, and they do regularly. I'm not 100% certain of this. It's only a rumor that I've heard, but I have heard that they do occasionally have to settle out of court with certain groups because they just a big batch of keys. I don't know how true that is or not, but
okay,
it's a rumor that I've heard.
Sure,
we'll just leave it at that. It's a rumor that I've heard. I don't think they are as free from the whims of the developers and publishers as they'd like to be.
So, first off, yeah, Twitch would be a big deal. I agree with you on that. I was speaking directly for like developers. Like Riot, it says something. Yeah. Like Gearbox, Tiny Build, which is not it's no Gearbox or Riot, but still it's something. Yeah. I still just I don't know. We have no idea, but I think ultimately they're not going to. I don't think they're going to make these changes at all.
No, I don't think they are either.
And I also don't think that people who use the service, this is not going to be something that stops them. Bulletstorm is not going to be what stops people from using the service. When Bulletstorm keys are probably on there right fucking now.
For sure.
It basically completely is a transparent issue. It doesn't really even hit any of these people. So yeah, I guess we could just wait to see what their comment is. Oh, actually, yeah. So you said that they may not be doing as well as you think. They have always reached out to basically everybody, man. Like they're always their biz dev team is always meeting with everybody. I met them once for
sure.
What's their faces, and they're always basically trying to get their hands in everything. But I don't know. I think we'll just have to wait and see what the response is ultimately.
Yeah. At the very least, it's interesting because no matter which way you slice it, they stood to gain something from this partnership.
Mm-hmm.
And if they refuse to agree to Gearbox's demands, then they don't gain that anymore.
Sure.
And so regardless, they've lost something here, basically.
Yeah.
So anyway,
tune in next time, basically.
yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right that we're just gonna have to kind of see how this shakes out.
Yeah.
And we're just obviously we're just speculating, really. But anyway, speaking of ways to get things for cheaper than you probably should be able to.
Uh-huh.
So YouTube is getting into the Sling TV business.
Yes.
This is really interesting.
Yes, it is actually. It may not be interesting to that, maybe the average person who doesn't give a shit about TV.
Yeah.
But I think that's at first glance. If you use Hulu or Amazon Prime or watch any sports, this is relevant to you because you might be paying for MLB, your annual service. You might be playing, or what's it called, extra, whatever, I don't know, the stupid fucking app that doesn't play local games because they're a bunch of idiots. You might be paying for all these services related to Hulu or Prime, which is kind of part of your Prime thing, but still, if you add up all these things, including Sling, then you're probably paying $35.
Oh yeah. Sling itself is $35 if I remember.
And
correctly.
Sling, I don't know if this is true now. Somebody in chat could probably correct me on this, please. I tried Sling a year ago, and they didn't have a DVR service. I couldn't actually record a show. I could watch shows on demand, but that's not what DVR is.
Yeah.
So if there was some random commercial or something like that, I could be like, oh shit, say the last 30 seconds, which I used to do all the time with our old DVR, back when we had actual TV. But yeah, that they didn't offer that at the time. That may be different now.
No, they still don't. So I actually have a Sling TV subscription.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And no, it's gotten better. It used to be because the way that Liv and I watch it is we have a old laptop hooked up to our TV.
Yeah.
With a wireless, with a wireless Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, so that we can just use it from the couch. Basically, the app crashes all the fucking time.
Oh, so it's just poor build then. Damn.
It's usually in the middle of ads, and it used to be when that happened, you then had to start the show that you were watching over from the start. It wouldn't just go back to where you were.
Fuck that.
Yeah, they fixed that. So now when the app crashes, you can go right back to where you were. So it's actually.
But the app, they didn't fix the app crashing part.
they could probably fix that issue. The other problem is that it has like half the reason that you DVR something, especially when you already have like video on demand available. Like the difference between DVRing an episode of, I don't know, Expedition Unknown versus watching an on demand Expedition Unknown is that you can skip the ads.
Mm-hmm.
Sling doesn't let you do that. When the ads come on, you sit there and you watch them. It doesn't let you fast forward at all. So it as a side issue with that, if you start watching like an episode of something that you go, oh yeah, I've seen this episode, but I never finished it. I want to watch the rest of it, and it for whatever reason doesn't remember where you left off, or if you accidentally clicked the "Let's start this over from the beginning" button, then you get to watch the whole episode again.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks.
So Sling is basically not up to par. Definitely,
it's not great. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, though, like again, like this goes back to let's say if I got the service, right? It's actually free to try. So I kind of was thinking of doing it, but unfortunately, the app is not available on Amazon sticks and TV units or whatever. And that's all we have, so I can't really do anything about that. But let's say if I were to try the service and I wanted to record every Giants game, I could do that, and it would save. It says unlimited storage. You record as much as you want, but the limit in fine print is 9 months, which is still a lot of video. Yeah, but you're not gonna record a movie and watch it with your kids 6 years later. It's not gonna happen.
Sure. If there's if you're talking about you're gonna record every episode of the Giants though. Or every episode of the Giants, every fucking Giants game.
That's you in sports right there.
That's me with sports. You're gonna record every Giants game. You're not gonna wait fucking 9 months to watch them either.
Yeah, yeah.
You're recording it because you're doing something at 7 p.m., but at 9 p.m. you're gonna go back and watch it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's the way it works is you could basically search for something. And think about anything you could necessarily search for that could be related to a movie or a show, anything TV based, and it'll record things based off of whatever it is that you dictate. So if I said, hey, I want to watch, everything that Lana Parrilla is in, right? She's the evil queen in Once Upon a Time, and even though I haven't watched that show in like forever, she's still hot. Anyways, if I want to watch every show that she's ever been on, I could do that, and it would record it all for me, and I'd be very happy. Same thing with the Giants, it could do that. They have a number of a ton of networks on board, but they don't necessarily they don't sling it as network based, right? They're focused more on categories, which is pretty much the way YouTube works. If you use YouTube on your TV or an app or whatever, usually they break it down into trending and what's hot, and then entertainment, music, games, whatever. And so that's the focus they're going for, which I think is great because I don't know if a show like if Blackish is on ABC or NBC. I have fucking no idea. I watch that show all the time. I have no idea what network it's on.
Yeah,
and so it's a better way, I think, of experiencing shows and media that normally you probably would skip over because you don't remember what station's on. But yeah, the DVR thing, and it seems like a pretty good service considering it can replace a lot of things for people who use Sling and watch sports. I think that's gonna be like the biggest push there.
Yeah. So running through the channels here, I'll just try and list them off as quick as possible. For $35 a month, you get ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC, the CW, ESPN, CSN, Fox Sports, FS1, FS2, USA, FX, Freeform, whatever that is, Disney Channel, ESPN2, BTN, ESPN SEC Network, whatever that is, ESPNU, ESPN News, Bravo, Oxygen, FXX, Sci-fi, which that one I'm actually interested in. Sci-fi for The Expanse. Disney Junior, Disney XD, which I don't know what that is other than a weird smiley face.
Disney XD is more for like preteens.
Oh, okay. Sprout, CBS Sports Network, NBC Sports Network, NBC Golf. Ooh, NBC Golf, nice. MSNBC. Fuck, I'm weird. Every once in a while, I just want to turn on the channel and watch someone walk around in a nice like park. So I'm like, you know what? Golf. Let's do that. I want to have someone whisper to me kindly.
Yeah, yeah, and so it's nice and quiet. And
on the 16th hole, it's a par 4.
I never thought of that. That is very peaceful listening, isn't it?
He's been driving really well today. We've been really pleased with his performance.
I'd watch golf in 4K.
Yeah, seriously, dude. Like it's so relaxing. Anyway, MSNBC, Fox News Channel, CNBC, sorry. Fox Business, I think is what that says. I don't know, Fox with the shitty logo.
It's hard to read.
National Geographic, Nat Geo Wild, FXM, which I guess is FX Movies, Universal HD, Chiller, whatever the fuck that is, and YouTube Red Originals, whatever the fuck that ends up being.
Yeah. You know what the thing is weird? When I went through this list, I was like, I can't believe ESPN3 is not on this. Like ESPN3, like you could open up a box of Cheerios and there's like a fucking a code that go watch ESPN3 for free online or something. Like it's they give it away like everywhere. I feel like it's just like the the Ocho. It's just like a throwaway channel.
I'm noticing a lot of channels are missing here that also provide a lot of their shows for free on their website, but not necessarily the ones that you actually get on live television. So the reason that I have Sling and the reason that I watch a fucking lot of Sling is for 3 channels that everyone's immediately going to judge me for. But here we go. Travel Channel.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Food Network.
That's fine. That's fine.
And HGTV.
It's not bad. It's not. Wait. Is something wrong with this?
It's not the word. Okay, it's not. I'm not like watching fucking Bravo all day or something.
I thought you were gonna throw out like BET and VH1. I was like,
MTV4. No, so I seriously, I just sit and I just watch shit television, and like it's the episode of Chopped for the 14th time where, oh my god, they have to use squid ink. Oh Jesus. Squid ink and tripe and fucking orange marmalade. Make a burger. I watch entirely too much Property Brothers, and I watch entirely too much Expedition Unknown. They're good shows though, man.
There are a couple of shows on there. Yeah, I agree. Especially HGTV.
Yeah,
there are a lot of shows. It's just so fucking like entertaining to watch them take a house and strip it down and rebuild it. Or, you know, I think the shows that are stupid are the ones where like they walk around and they're like, oh yeah, you know, I'm a babysitter and my husband mows our lawn for a living. So our budget is $250,000.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute.
I'm a stay-at-home mom and he's a stay-at-home dad. Our budget is $1.5 million. It's like, really? Yeah, and like even shows like Property Brothers, like it's the same every single time. It's the same show.
Yes,
like,
every
episode of that show is the same show. It's like, we have this couple that would like to buy a house, but they want it move-in ready, but they can't afford move-in ready. We're gonna show them a move-in ready house. Oh God, it's too expensive. Who could have seen that coming? Everyone who's watched this show before, but they're still acting like they're upset. Now we're going to find 3 houses. Oh, guess what? It's the second one. That's the one that they went for. Now we're going to renovate it. This might be asbestos.
Yeah, those shows are just like what is it? You know, what's behind door number 1, door number 2, whatever. Like, it feels like that. You know, where it's like you're trying to, you're kind of like, you know, you're like, oh yeah, I think you should probably take what's in the box, you know?
Yeah. Olivia and I, like every single time we're watching Property Brothers, we'll get to the point where like we tend to add our own commentary, kind of Mystery Science Theater style, as we're watching these shows, which is great, by the way. I highly recommend, if you're going to watch Property Brothers, watch it with someone that you can crack jokes with the entire time, because it's so good. But, like, we keep saying, just once, we want them to do now we're going to show you a move-in ready house. It's in this amazing neighborhood, and it's got a swimming pool with its own built-in swimming pool. And it's got a theater inside Hollywood. Never mind that this is in Texas, you know, like.
And this is like West Coast, because it's like Exhibit, like Pimp Your Ride, Pimp My Ride.
Yeah, exactly. And like the houses that they show them are always so far like above what the wish list. They like, oh, what they would like is a house with a driveway and walls and no carpet. And they go, oh, check it out. There's no carpet in here, and also a hot tub in every room. But just once, I want to see a couple just be like, oh, okay. Actually, we can probably stretch to that budget. We'll take it. Because they're always like, it's way over your budget. It's $1.2 million, you know?
Oh, Jesus.
Like, oh, well, I mean, we said that our budget is $600,000, but yeah, no, we can do 1.2 million. Yeah, we'll take it. Sold.
So yeah, it doesn't have that.
Anyway, it doesn't have that. No, so that's what I'm sad about.
Super bummer. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't have travel. I mean, it's hard when you look at this. It's like wow, it's an apprentice. That's a lot of things, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you mentioned it. It's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah. So there are definitely some missing networks.
It doesn't have, and no one has this, but it doesn't have HBO.
Yeah, it doesn't have HBO because they have their own service.
Yeah, they have their own service, so no one has it. However, it's worth pointing out that HBO's service is like $25 on its own, something like that. I don't remember last time I looked at it. So the right way to watch HBO shows on their service is sign up, get the free week, binge the fuck out of everything that's on there, and then cancel. And then come back like 3 months later.
Use like a prepaid card or something like that, and just back to back your free weeks.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be available. Actually, it's available right now. Apparently. Let me see. Where is it available here? In San Francisco Bay Area, which is here. Los Angeles, which is there. New York City over there, and Chicago also over there. Oh, and Philadelphia. And it may actually be, it says it's available potentially in other locations. So if you're interested in trying the first month, you can probably check for it. They do have a promotion going, which is very similar to Sling TV, which actually almost got me back into Sling, where they were giving away a Roku. They're like, yo, we'll send you a Roku if you sign up. And I was like, oh, damn, yeah, that sounds good. But yeah, if you, after the first month, they'll send you a Chromecast.
Oh,
so
cool.
So after your first build, your first bill, then they'll send you a Chromecast. So
I mean, that's also worth it because a Chromecast costs $35.
Yeah.
So that's how much this costs a month. Mm-hmm. So if you're planning to buy a Chromecast, you might as well get a free month of YouTube TV out of it too.
Yeah. So I'm interested in seeing what. Like I want to try it the second I find a device that will support it, really.
Yeah,
but this is a huge move. Like again, I don't think this is going to have as much of an impact on a lot of people watching this. But in the big picture, though, it is a pretty big deal. A big move that, given the way that TV is now. With it's very archaic with the whole separation by networks thing. The way that YouTube TV is approaching it with making it all categorical, which is going to make it easier to consume. I think that's super smart, and I think that's going to make. I mean, you could get it with like Hulu and all that stuff, but the live TV thing mixed in with there, I think it's potentially pretty good. I don't watch enough TV. I think to even commit to it long term. But I've been meaning to get a Chromecast anyways, a new one. So it's like, I might as well give it a shot.
Yeah. Yeah, like honestly, the reason that I still think I would prefer Sling over YouTube TV is for those 3 channels, the HGTV, Travel Channel, and Food Network. And the reason for that is those are the sorts of channels that you kind of always know roughly what it's going to be when you turn it on. Like, there isn't a massive difference between watching diners, drive-ins, and dives and any other, I'm going to go to a place and eat a food channel or show that's on basically all three of those channels. So, like, it's TV for when you don't want to think about what you're watching. You just want to turn something on and watch it.
Yeah.
And that's why I have Sling, because everything else, like I have Netflix, I have Hulu, I have Amazon. Like, if I sat down and said, you know what, I want to watch some fucking Stranger Things, I would just watch Stranger Things. Or if I'm like, you know what, Bob's Burgers sounds really, like, if I knew what I wanted to watch, I would just watch that. So the value of something like this is having that sort of daytime shit TV level of being able to just turn something on and knowing that you're going to be not necessarily entertained, but occupied. I
not
guess
necessarily entertained.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, YouTube doesn't have HGTV, doesn't have Travel Channel, doesn't have Food Network.
Well, shit.
And you know what else you can't watch on YouTube TV? Persona 5.
It's been a while since we had a good transition.
I'm pretty pleased with that one. So this was the big what year is it level reaction of the week.
Yes, exactly.
So Persona 5, or Atlas, which is the company that is distributing. Are they just distributing? Because they didn't develop it, right? They're just distributing it in the
Because they even mentioned in their little article that they posted their statement that the overlords in Japan say this.
Yeah. So they just publishing it in the West.
Yep.
Anyway, so Persona 5 is finally released. Everybody immediately got really, really excited about Persona 5 finally being out. But before they could actually go and watch it on like Twitch or whatever, Atlas put out this note that said, "We're so happy that you can finally play this. Please don't talk about this. Please don't stream it. Please don't make videos of it." Past. So specifically, the limits are don't have any spoilers, like, at all, and they literally say no major story spoilers, and I'll leave that up to your good judgment. So, okay, I guess you get to decide what's a major story spoiler or not. So, I guess if you decide the story sucks, then you could just be like, actually, there's no spoilers in this at all. But it does give a few guidelines there, some of which are kind of spoilery. Well, you can show initial interactions with Yusuke, avoid his awakening scene, and that whole deal about the painting. Also, don't post anything about a certain student investigator. Like, okay, I don't know enough about Persona. I've never played any of these games to have any fucking idea what any of that is referring to. But it sounds spoilery to me.
Yeah,
now I know that there's a
totally
painting that's important. I know that there's a student investigator that's important. That's spoilery. Excuse me. They specifically limited you cannot have any video content through the in-game date of 7/7, and they updated this later because it originally just said please limit video content through 7/7, and I thought that they were putting like a 3-month fucking like what's the word I'm looking for, embargo on this. But no, it's the in-game, the date progresses and you're not allowed to so apparently something fucking happens on July 7th in the game and you're not allowed to
spoiler.
Seriously. Fortunately, we're not this isn't video content, so we can say whatever the fuck we want. We're not limited by this. This is an audio only podcast. Motherfuckers. And then they went to the extent of like threatening DMCA strikes or content ID strikes.
Yeah.
And this is the point where I could kind of tell the person who was writing this article went, wow, okay, yeah, this is shit. And I don't agree with this right now. And so they said, this being a Japanese title with a single playthrough story means our masters in Japan are very wary about it. Blah, blah, blah. Excuse me. If you do plan on streaming, video guidelines above apply except length. If you decide to stream past 7.7, and then in all caps, I highly recommend not doing this. You have been warned. You do so at the risk of being issued a content ID claim or worse, a channel strike / account suspension. So basically, you're not allowed to stream this game past the interesting parts. From what it now having read this, I don't give a shit about what happens in this game prior to 7.7.
Yeah, it's
the only part of this game I'm now interested in is past that, but I'm not gonna buy the game because I don't care that much.
Just want to Google what's 7.7 or YouTube Persona 7.7.
Yeah, like maybe if this seems like a shitty thing to say because it's kind of getting to the point that we're sort of making here, but realistically, thinking about myself and the way that I know that I react to video games, if I was watching someone streaming this and I saw that they were having fun, I might buy it.
Sure. Yeah. Duh. That's the way it works.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Nier Automata is a game that I had zero interest in, like, at all. It was by Square. Typically, Square games don't appeal to me. I kind of outgrew Final Fantasy at a certain point. I don't really know why. And since then, I've been like, oh, it's by Square. It's probably going to be really good. It's going to be really successful. Not really for me. And then I watched Jared Colston, VHell, who's he also works at Blizzard, and he's one of the other WoW shoutcasters. I was watching him play it, and I was like, oh, actually, this looks pretty good. And then Olivia was like, holy shit, this game looks really good, and she bought it. And then she was like, oh my god, you have to play this game. And I'm like, okay. I think I've said this on the show before.
Yeah,
but it's
last week.
Now I know that I have to play this game. And all of that came from watching someone else play it.
Yeah.
And like Firewatch, I watched, I don't know, like half an hour of someone playing it, and I went, okay, yep, I need to play that game, or at least experience that game. What ended up happening is Olivia played it, and I sat there and watched the entire thing and decided I wasn't going to play through it myself. However, that was still a sale of the game that was made because of a stream.
Yeah, sure.
And it's tough to really put an actual value on that general concept, like the idea of how valuable is it to stream a game? How much money will you gain from allowing people to stream your game versus not? Because it's not like you can A/B test it, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you can go, okay, we released our game and we allowed everyone to stream it. Oh, but then later we released it again and didn't allow people to stream it. Let's see which one went better. Like, of course, the first one's going to go better because by that point, everyone else has played it, right? Like, it doesn't work the other way either because, like, it's not like in a few months they're going to say, okay, you can stream Persona 5 now, and a bunch of streamers are going to go, man, yeah, you know, I would love to stream a 6-month-old game that everyone's already fucking played. So it's tough to put a real value on that. But there's so much anecdotal evidence, and there's so many stories of people saying, yeah, like the Firewatch guys, like they said, you know what, our game, we were a little bit worried about the streaming because it is very single player and very, very story driven and very one playthrough. But then we let people do it, and it was fine. And we made a lot of money off the game. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you pretty much covered the gist. Like, it just like...
I did kind of ramble for a good 30 minutes.
It seems absurd. It just seems overly just absurd in this day and age when, you know, it's been shown that that Twitch and YouTube are great. I feel like this is such a, you know, weird thing to say now, but they're the one that made this move. But these are great. I don't know if you know this, but Twitch and YouTube make great promotional tools for your game. And we've known this for so many years. And so for them to have to make this call, and I'm talking about Atlas, obviously, because they're just basically following their directives. But yeah, it's just really absurd. And obviously, not a lot of people were pleased by that. I don't know if it had any kind of impact on the game's sales overall, because the people who are playing it say they enjoy it. Really, I think what ends up happening is, you know, they just don't get the exposure they probably would have had because of you know, people who are streaming who will no longer stream it past that point. And I think it also upsets streamers too. And, you know, while the platforms are, you know, your promotional tool, your foot soldiers in that front are going to be the content creators and the streamers themselves. And so if you upset them with this, then when Persona 6 comes out, they might be like, no, you know what? I'm just going to pass. I couldn't finish the first one because my entire life is streaming. And so therefore I can't spend any time, you know, valuable time, you know, on a game to finish it because I can't fucking stream it. So they might pass on it. And so this is just, there's no real good spin on this for them. And they just don't realize that.
Yeah, and I think they're not really realizing, like I say, it's tough to measure, but only to a degree. Like, you can certainly understand that, okay, we know that, and this is possibly just a perspective. Like, I know a lot of people in the gaming industry haven't figured this out yet. It's a perspective that I have, having spent a lot of time as a professional streamer before getting into the gaming industry directly, and now working with a lot of streamers directly. So I'm in a little bit of a unique situation here.
Sure.
But this is something that I know intrinsically, which is that when you stream, maybe 20 to 30% of your audience is there most of the time, if you're lucky. Like, if 20 to 30% of your audience is regulars that show up to every single stream and are going to see everything that you stream and are going to stick with your stream until the end, that's substantial. That's actually really, really good. Most of the time you get people, most of your viewers are people that they were just looking for something to watch, and they went, oh, hey, Mike is streaming. I like Mike. I'm going to stop by his stream and see what he's up to. That's most of the time, that's your audience. That's especially true of the bigger your stream gets and the more viewers you get, the smaller that percentage of regulars becomes. So you get to people like Lyric or Summit or JP, you know, some of the bigger name streamers out there, and the people that can regularly pull in thousands, if not tens of thousands of viewers. You get to the point where maybe a couple hundred of those are regulars, and then everyone else, I mean, you can define regular in different ways, but like maybe a couple hundred of those people are the ones that will show up for every single stream, and then the rest of those viewers, maybe they're somewhat regular, they catch every 2 or 3 streams, but they're not there all the time. And that's really important for a game like this, because it means that those people are going to see the 2 times that you even stream Persona 5, because let's be honest here, Lyric isn't going to stream the entirety of Persona 5. He might stream it for the first day because people are excited about it, and he's like, fuck, I need to jump on this bandwagon, because he's smart and understands that that's the way to get viewers on the first day of a release of a highly anticipated title. But past that, he's going to be like, all right, now it's back to Battlegrounds, or it's back to Counter-Strike, or whatever. Go back to one of those sort of mainstay titles for him, because he wants to keep his audience happy. Meanwhile, he's now showed the first bit of this very story-driven game to, I don't know, 20, 30, 40,000 people, depending on how big the splash of the day one release of a game like this is. And now all those people know the first bit of the story, but they don't know where it goes from there. And if 10% of them buy the game as a result of that, that is significantly better than any marketing tactic that the company could have made, because it's free. It's literally free. Cost them nothing. All they had to do was release the game, get Lyric to buy it.
Which probably didn't take any effort on their part.
Or provide it to him. I mean, worst case, they made 0 money off of one guy, and then as a result of that, a bunch of people bought it. But because they came out with this thing that said, hey, by the way, you're not allowed to stream past 7/7. Okay, first of all, very few people were going to do that anyway. Very few of the streamers that you care about were going to do that anyway. And that sounds like a shitty thing to say, but what I mean is, from a company's perspective, when you're thinking about marketing, you're looking at the guys who are going to pull in those, 5 to 6 digit figures while they're streaming. You're not as worried about, like smaller streamers that are going to pull in a few hundred and spoil the story for 300 people.
Sure.
Oh well. You may be lost out on that. Of that list of 300 people, you may be lost out on 10 sales. Whoops.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But the bigger streamers are going to bring in thousands. And that's just a matter of, it's just it's shitty to say it's a matter of common sense, because so much of marketing is driven by metrics and is driven by provable data. But it's pretty common sense.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you know, there's really nothing else to. There's no follow up to this. So I can't say we'll see what happens next because really, it's going to go the way of every other game that gets streamed. You know, that's not League or Counter-Strike or any other like mainstream games or mainstay games, I should say, that have longevity like that. It's something that everyone's gonna play now and everyone's gonna talk about, and then 2 weeks from now, 2 weeks seems kind of a little much, but like a week from now, that's it. It's gonna be on to the next thing.
Yeah. Well, and realistically, a week, 2 weeks from now, no one at Atlas is gonna be watching Twitch to issue these strikes anyway.
Yeah,
so
that's kind of true.
Because that's something that I think a lot of people don't really realize is when a Twitch streamer or a YouTube streamer, when someone gets hit by a content ID strike on YouTube, most of the time that's directly initiated by a person. On Twitch, when someone gets hit with a DMCA notice, that's 100% of the time a request that was sent in by the content owner, by the publisher / developer.
Yeah.
So it's really funny. It's really funny when someone is like running a private server or something and streaming it. There was a couple of people around, I want to say around Warlords Beta, who were streaming some sort of like sandbox server that they put together and like, let's just fly around Draenor and show everybody. And they got hit with DMCA notices as a result. And then they were like, I can't believe that Twitch would be standing up for Blizzard like this. Yes, it was totally Twitch the whole time.
Yeah.
So that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
There was a tweet storm that came out of this actually, Persona 5. There were a lot of people saying, I can't believe that Twitch would allow this to happen. And Ryan Morrison, video game attorney, he's great to follow on Twitter, by the way, because every once in a while he gets one of these like, you guys, you just don't understand how laws work, do you? Sort of tweet storms that comes along. He's like, they don't have a choice. Twitch legally has to. If they get a DMCA notice, they legally have to follow on that because that is how the law works.
But no, they are supporting them by complying. They should
by
complying
fight with the law.
They should stand up for themselves.
Yeah. That's not something Twitch wants to do. Tell you what, you and your 15 viewers can be really upset all you want that you can't stream past 7/7 in Persona 5. Meanwhile, Twitch is going to keep their fucking millions of viewers and not have to worry about that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Anyway, speaking of streaming, by which I mean speaking of people with 15 viewers, by which I mean speaking of your last PlayerUnknown Battleground stream, which didn't happen. Sad. But we should talk about Battlegrounds because it's finally in early access, and I've been playing a lot of it, and you've been playing a day of it. We should talk about this game.
Yes. So it's basically if you like DayZ and then you went on and maybe you kind of liked Hizzy when it first came out for a minute, and then when King of the Kill came out, you were kind of interested in that. If you remember Survivor games or if you liked any of those things, this is a game that you'd probably enjoy, or maybe you'd enjoy watching. It's basically the gist is right now the setup is you're on a plane with 99 other players, which is huge. And you could go solo, or you could queue up as duo, or queue up as squads, which is 4 players. The keyword there is queue, and I guess also up. So keywords there, queue up. So you're not going to get lumped in with a bunch of people working together necessarily. And
that's really important.
Yes. You're all on a plane, and then you could choose, and you're flying over an island, and you could choose when you want to deploy, and then you basically jump out whenever you feel is the right time, and then you could you parachute down. You have a couple moments there where you kind of steer where you want to go and control your speed of descent roughly. Then you parachute, you land, you run to the nearest building, you find guns, and you hunt down other players or vehicles or whatever. The area, the play area gets constricted slowly over time, and it tells you, and there's a giant blue wall that will eventually kill you if you stay in the outside of it for too long, that will slowly close in around you. if you don't move towards the center. And eventually the center gets so small that there's no choice but for the two players, so the last remaining players, to kill each other off, and the last man standing wins. And that's the gist of the game. It is a lot of fun. It's early access. It has some performance issues here and there. Not terrible performance. It's not as good as Hizzy when it first came out. Hizzy had really great performance when it first came out.
That's true.
But it's not as bad as DayZ.
No.
And
fucking you could play it through an actual slideshow machine, like an actual slide projector, and it would not be as bad as DayZ when it came out. And they did actually just, I haven't had a chance to try it out yet, but they did just push an update last night that was supposed to help with some optimization.
Oh, really? Wait, for PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds? Oh, okay. Yes, I sound dead inside.
No, for DayZ.
For DayZ, yeah. Like, I could play that. So if I sound dead inside, which Kittens has pointed out, it's because last night what ended up happening was I played it yesterday up until about noon, and then I logged in last night, and it said that failure to communicate with Steam or whatever, right? Failure to communicate with, failure to initialize with Steam. I haven't tested it so far tonight, and I'm not going to because I know it's going to say no. We did a ton of troubleshooting last night trying to get it to work. And then today I hopped on the phone with Shizzle, and we tried even more shit. I think we for like 2 hours we tried all kinds of stuff, and then after that I'm in Discord and everyone's throwing ideas out, and I'm trying all that. I went as far as like creating a new user account, uninstalling and reinstalling Steam to a different drive, as well as the game itself. And the weird thing is, it's 100% local to my machine. It is my installation of Windows. Something is on here preventing this game from connecting to Steam, because I can log in on my laptop, and I can fire up the game and it loads my character just fine. Right? But when I play on my PC, when it goes to load my character, it sits there for a second and then it says failure to initialize with Steam. I'm 100% certain I've basically tried everything outside of reinstalling Windows. The fact that I made a new fucking user account, and I wiped the registry, did a fresh install, like I did, so it was basically fucking new.
Like a new Windows user account?
Yeah. And it didn't work. And so I'm kind of stuck in terms of what to do there, which is unfortunate because I really enjoyed the game. I have a tweet. If you look at my tweets and replies, you'll find it, because it's like 7 or 8 tweets deep that basically details everything, almost everything that I tried, and I tweeted at their official Twitters, and we'll see if that's the best way to get somebody's attention, especially in games. And so I'm hoping that I get some kind of response from them to help fix this. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to fucking fight it. Like, I'm gonna have to refund it, and because that's $30 that's basically just gone. You know, and fuck that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like, you shouldn't pay $30 for a game that you get to play for 6 hours and then can't play ever again.
Mm-hmm.
The game is really fun though.
Yeah, I know.
That's the worst part. Is finally someone has finally done this for the moment. Like, it's still early access. Things could go wrong at any point, but someone has finally done this right. And it is early access, and I know we talk a lot of shit about early access on this show from time to time, but it's an early access that I don't mind paying for, because in the game's current state, it's fun.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell me, they're not really planning on adding anything. They're just going to do stability testing, maybe some optimization, and then they're going to release in a couple of months. And I'd be like, okay, cool.
Right, yeah. Sure.
Like, the game is fun. It's good. It gets a lot of that DayZ vibe back again, but without the, like, original DayZ eventually sort of turned into this, all right, so you spawn in, and maybe you go to like Cherno, maybe you go to Electro, maybe you head straight for the airfield and hope you get lucky, maybe you head for the other airfield. Like, there's a few places that you go like right away. Once you've learned the map, there's like, okay, I'm gonna go to one of these spots and I'm gonna look around for some gear. Okay, now I've got some gear. Now I'm gonna go looking for trouble. And you're just sort of wandering around trying to find people to shoot. Wow, excuse me. And that eventually runs into some issues, because you then you've got all this gear, And then like your options are hang around at the airfield where you can be fairly positive you'll eventually just get shot because it's a big area.
Yeah, and you won't know where the shot's coming from.
Yeah, exactly. Or just go wandering around and try to find someone and hope that you come across somebody eventually, but that could take hours before you see anybody else because the map was so huge. And so that was where the whole like the battle royale survivor games style of thing came in. And I think honestly, when that first survivor games happened that you commentated, it was you and Shizzle commentating it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. When that first survival games happened, it seemed like a whole bunch of people went, "Oh shit, this is a thing, isn't it? This is seriously a thing." And like the way that you commentated it was so like janky as well, which is why you're now banned from everything forever. But man. Yeah, that was a mess. But like so many people have tried to do that since. Like there were mods for DayZ that tried to build it, like the I think it was it was an Arma mod. Sorry, it was the Arma Battle Royale mod, which is actually kind of the predecessor to what Battlegrounds ended up being. There was H1Z1, which had its Battle Royale, and eventually it just split between Just Survive and King of the Kill. H1Z1's version of it was kind of screwed over from the start because it started off as two different games, and then they had to like split it up, which meant that they still had a whole bunch of like I'm gonna actually die.
Yeah, stop.
They still had a whole bunch of like other shit left over, and a bunch of systems in place that made sense for the survival mode, but they've had to fight against it. Or fight. I guess fight is the wrong term. They've had to do a bunch of work to make that really into what it needs to be. And it also gets a little bit overly arcadey, I think, in H1Z1. And Battlegrounds really splits the difference for me in that it feels like DayZ in the sort of like, I'm going to find weapons and I'm going to equip them with parts, and I need gear, and I need to find upgrades, and I need to have backpacks with bigger and bigger slots and so on. And also leans towards H1Z1 in the right ways in that, okay, it's not super hard to find a gun. Like, I'm going to find a gun pretty much right away. It might not be, it's not going to be an AWM, but I'm going to find a gun pretty soon. And I will be able to defend myself within the first 30 seconds of actually landing on the ground. For the most part. And I will be able to find a vehicle. It might not be a helicopter. It won't be a helicopter because they don't exist in the game. But I will find a vehicle, essentially. I do still kind of miss some of the old, like, when we used to play on that one server in DayZ mod ages ago that had, like, all the helicopters and shit that we would be like, all right, we're going to spend 2 hours fixing a helicopter.
And then fly it for another 3 hours or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. Or in the couple of times where I flew one, fly it for another 3 minutes.
Yeah, no, that happens sometimes.
Yeah. But yeah, I do kind of miss that sometimes, but all the rest of that old DayZ vibe is there in PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, and it's good, man. It's just good.
Yeah, one thing I like about it is, and I don't know if this is the case for Hizzy because I didn't play King of the Kill very much at all, really. But for Pub, it's the fact that when you pick up, a site, it works with like 7 different weapons or something. You know, like I don't have to find very weapon focused and very weapon specific mods. I could find something that is just basically type specific. So it's an AR or it's a shotgun or whatever. And it'll just work for, like a whole bunch of things instead of just being just one thing. And that's one thing I actually really like about DayZ. It's like, oh shit, bitch, I found a scope. Oh, it's for this thing that I've never actually seen in the game in the hundreds of hours that I put in here. Yeah.
I found a scope for an M24. Unfortunately, what I have instead is a I can't remember the name of the other sniper rifle, but yeah, like a bolt action sniper rifle of some kind or something. So I can't put this scope on this when even like IRL, that's not the case.
Yeah.
Weapon attachments are pretty standard IRL.
It makes it makes itemization really fun and part of the game. It's like you could walk into a house and you don't have to be like, oh god, I'm gonna find a bunch of shit that I can't use, which happens, but less so than in DayZ and maybe even Hizzy. But it ends up being a lot of fun. Like I was yesterday afternoon before I magically couldn't connect anymore. I was actually in a the wall was closing in. And it was just on the outside of this small little farm. There was a homestead, and I was in the second floor, and I heard a guy walk up. Well, he apparently knew I was already there. He was downstairs, I was upstairs, and I was hiding behind this chair that was right up against the banister, so I could kind of see downstairs, right? And next thing I know, he starts like peppering the chair, and I was just thinking, like, wow, man, like. I had like this moment where I kind of like had a flashback because my grandfather used to upholster furniture in his garage. And so I know damn well that there is no fucking such thing as a chair that stops bullets.
Yeah.
but this one did. And so what I did was I chucked a stun grenade at him and he ran away and then nothing happened. And so then I crawled and repositioned myself and he comes up and he throws a grenade up where I was. And it goes off. And I'm like, ha, bitch. And so then I kneel and I fucking chuck another grenade. And I'm thinking this is perfect. I'm gonna bounce off the back wall and it's gonna go underneath, go down the stairs. And I'm gonna nail his ass. And I'm gonna run down there and I'm gonna kick him in the dick with a frying pan. And so what happened was I threw it and it bounced off the wall. So it went over the banister, bounced off the wall, went over the banister again, and then hits me. And so I'm like stunned and I'm like my ears like ringing or whatever, and I panic and I jump out the window, and then he's right there and then he shot me in the face. So, but still, for those few moments there, it was intense, and that's what I like about these games is that you have these wide open. It sucks when you're running around and you get shot and you're just dead and you have no idea where it came from. Like that sucks. But honestly, I feel like the moments that you have where you have a standoff with somebody else. And it just comes down to either somebody getting lucky, somebody getting crafty, or someone just having, more grenades than you or a better arm. Those moments are really, really great.
Yeah, and it is sort of the game. Like, you do have to be kind of in the right mindset for it, which is that maybe one in every 5 to 10 games you play, you'll actually get to the end. If you're, like, and that's if you're decent at games like this. And you get kind of lucky in some ways. Like, most of the time, what's going to happen is you land, you jump out of the plane, you land, you run around, you pick up some parts, and then you just get fucking murked from somewhere, and you're dead. And you're like, all right, well, I guess next game. And that, I think, is one of the important things about it, too, is that I guess next game takes 1 minute. Like, it's literally, like, you go, well, I'm dead now. Fuck. All right, I guess I could have done any number of other things in that situation. Oh well, that sucks. Anyway, let's try again, and you're right back into the game again.
Yeah, tits like no time at all.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't have to sit there and watch everybody else fight it out. I think it would be nice if you could, especially... Hang on, I'm gonna cough again.
Sure.
Thanks for doing the coughing for me. But, like, especially when it's right at the end, like, if there are 3 people left and you die, it would be nice to be able to watch the last 2. But I can understand why at the moment they don't want that to happen, because they're probably, like, they want to make sure it doesn't get to the point where, like, I would not have that implemented right now, because I would want to be absolutely certain that I'm not able, there isn't a way to manipulate the matchmaking to get into a single queue game with someone else that I know.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Because then that gets to the point where it's like, all right, well, now, okay, everybody queue at once. All right, did we all get into the same game? Everybody come over and stand by this thing. Are we all in the same? Yes, we're all in the same game. Okay, cool. Now we're going to be friendly with each other the entire time. And then once everyone else in this game is dead is the only time that we'll shoot each other.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't want people spectating, saying, "Oh, he's right behind you," or whatever.
But they can't. But just to note, when you're spectating with your teammates, you can't actually maneuver the camera. You only see what they see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I felt and that happened like the other night when we were streaming it, and I died. It was, and you were inside the shed, or that little shack. and it was super tense because the circle kept closing in, and you were in the circle almost the entire time. And so it was like the guy outside, he blew a hole in the door, which I didn't know was a fucking thing. He blew a hole in the door. You didn't die, but the whole time I'm like, oh, watch out, he's right there. And it's like, oh yeah, I keep forgetting. I can see exactly what you see, or whatever, and vice versa. Yeah. So I'm like sitting here pointing out shit that's super obvious. Yes, Mike, I'm looking out that tiny sliver of window too.
Yeah. They're apparently making those sheds fully destructible, by the way. So
oh my god.
That won't work anymore. And they're getting rid of the windows in them. So they'll be like, right now they're kind of OP, especially when it is closing in on something like that, because it's really hard to like lob a grenade in the window and kill somebody that's in there, and then I can just sit in the thing and come out on my own terms. Until, you know, the circle contracts away from me, and then I'm screwed.
You're forced. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, the game is really, really fun. The combat is really tight. It could use some frame rate optimization, but honestly, not much. It doesn't need a ton in that regard.
It's just in towns, just like just like Daisy.
Yeah, exactly.
And hay fields. I don't know what the fuck, how many triangles they're using in their hay bales, but Jesus Christ. Okay, fine. It's just me.
No, I was drinking wine.
What I can say is, officially, I like the game. I cannot endorse it. Because
why is that?
Well, because
you can't play it.
What if somebody buys the game and then once they're past the refund time, they're running the same problem I have? I'm fucking stuck with a game I can't play. And so I absolutely will not recommend it. Because I don't want to say that and then somebody goes and like, okay, well, I'm bound. Not like they're gonna do that, but it just won't happen. Yeah, I just can't do it until I can get back in.
I will recommend it because I don't really care if you lose $30.
Damn.
But also, this seems like a very weird issue, and literally no one else has reported this issue. Like everybody else, like there's a whole bunch of threads about the can't connect to Steam thing, and every single one of them has someone going, "Oh yeah, okay, reinstalling Steam fixed it," or whatever. Like whatever is broken with your setup is bizarre.
Yeah, and it sucks.
Yeah. But hey, maybe one of these updates will magically fix it for you.
Yeah, that's very possible.
Like, it's possible that it's just some bug, and they go, oh, actually, we found an issue where sometimes people just weren't able to
fringe
connect to Steam.
cases. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they're like getting data this whole time. They say, aha, we've isolated this bug. And it's weird. Every once in a while, we actually see this a lot with WoW, too. Like, there will be a bug that affects a lot of people a very small amount of time, and then affects, like, one person 100% of the time. And we don't know why that is. Yeah. And it's really tough to nail down, but still, like, once we fix the bug, then it's fixed. Like, was I talking last week about the adventure that my WoW character had last week in 7.2?
No, no.
Oh, man, okay. So... We're running kind of late, but it's a funny story, so I'm gonna try and speed through it quickly. So there was this issue last week in WoW where there was a bug that was causing some AoE class abilities to just not work. Like they would cast and you'd see like your frozen orb go flying off, and it would just go right past all of the mobs and not care. They would be like, nah, whatever, no problem. And it just wouldn't do anything. Same with abilities like Arcane Orb, Divine Storm, the Syndragosa's Fury, or whatever the Frost Decay artifact ability is called. I always forget exactly what it's called. The dragon that comes out. And this was affecting quite a few people most of the time, but not 100% of the time. And it wasn't affecting everybody with those abilities. There were some people that those abilities were still working fine for. In fact, I actually think it was most people those abilities were still working fine for. It was just there was enough of the people that had an issue with it that it seemed like everyone was having that problem. Because the people who were working for it weren't going to be like, hey, everybody, just checking in. Wanted to let everyone know Frozen Orb works just fine for me. Like, that's not a thing that anyone would do. But anyway, we were not able to find, or our QA team, I should say, was not able to find anyone internally who was having anyone like on their test team or whatever that was actually having this issue on their live characters. and they were like, "Hey, Josh, can you? We don't know what the process is for this. Can we try to find someone internally who is having this issue every single time with 100% repro?" And I was like, "Yes, we can find that person because it's me." Like I was randomly for some reason. That was the only one in the company. Probably not the only one in the company, but the most immediately apparent one in the company who was actually having this issue 100% of the time, in that I would cast Arcane Orb, because I'm playing an Arcane Mage. I would cast Arcane Orb, and it would just float through the enemies, and they'd be like, "Sup, don't care." And I'd be like, "All right, fine." And even then, it still wasn't 100% of the time. Like, if I logged out for like half an hour, and then logged in and didn't do anything at all, other than like turn my character and cast Arcane Orb at something that was nearby, it would hit them, and then never work again until I logged out for another half hour. It was weird. So anyway, they were like, "All right, well, we're gonna copy your character to our internal realms." I'm like, "Okay, cool, yeah, just go ahead and do that," because they can look up account data, and they were like, "All right, let's just copy the character over." And they're like, it's not happening on our internal realms at all."
What the fuck?
I'm like, okay. And they're like, and we copied it to a different live, because they obviously have like test accounts that are set aside for if we really need to test something on live in a like hidden way sort of thing. Because obviously they don't ever do this on a server that people are actually playing on, but like they'll have some servers that are in the live environment, but they're able to test things on.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And so they're like, well, and it also, when we copy your character to one of these, it still doesn't work. And I was like, well, here's a video. Like I just recorded one real quick, and I was like, here, this is me casting Arcane Orb 4 times at this group of mobs, and they're just standing there. And they're like, all right, we need to borrow your character for a couple of hours. So they like, they used a GM account to, GMs have an ability to like take over a character. It's often what they do for like, if something gets really, really broken with a character, they'll be like, hey, can you log out for a minute? And then they actually log in on your character, and they use some commands to fix everything that's wrong with it. Then they log back out and they go, okay, thanks, on with your day. And so that's what they did. They like took my character, and they were like, could you not log into your character for like a couple of hours? I was like, fine, okay. So my mage just got held hostage for like a couple of hours, which was great. And then eventually they were like, okay, we did a bunch of testing and we've got some theories now. Thanks a lot. You can have your character back. I'm like, okay, cool. That's great. Didn't log into it right away. Like at that point I was like, I guess I'll play some Mass Effect. And so now I was like into some serious section of Mass Effect. I was like, okay, I guess I'm just going to keep playing Mass Effect now. I don't want to be like, oh, okay, I guess, sorry, Ryder. I'm just going to take a break for a bit while you're fighting off these guys and go do some Broken Shore or something. But so I didn't log into it until the next morning. And then I logged in, and I was like doing world quests on the Broken Shore, and I was like, how come my arcane missiles is never proccing the extra missiles? How come it seems like every time I AoE, I'm doing less? Something's wrong here. And then like I got a quest that is this like, it's designed for newer characters. It's like, you should probably unlock all the traits on your artifact. And I was like, why did I get this quest? And I went and looked at my artifact, and I had no fucking traits spent in it. Because part of what they were doing when they were testing was like, maybe it's this trait, maybe it's that trait. So they had refunded all of the traits on my artifact, and were spending them different ways. So I literally just...
They just like wrecked your... It's like a renter.
Yeah. I mean, they refunded it in a way where I didn't lose any artifact power. It was all still there.
Yeah.
So I was able to spend it back. But because I'm dumb, I spent it back wrong and missed out on one of like my primary traits. So I was like, fuck. Now I have this character that shouldn't, like, it shouldn't even be possible for this to happen, because I have unlocked the new traits. Because there's new traits you can get in 7.2. In order to unlock those, you have to have bought all the previous traits. I ended up with a thing where I had the new traits, I had points spent in the new traits, but not in one of the previous traits, so it shouldn't have even been possible. And it was like, one of the previous traits was a really, really important one as well. It was a golden trait. And so I'm like, God damn it. My character's all sorts of fucked now. But it's fine. I just grinded out a little bit more artifact power and fixed it. But yeah, it was really funny. It was like, this ability, this bug is affecting a lot of people some of the time. And this one guy, 100% of the time. We don't know why, but let's fix it. And so basically, TLDR, hopefully that happens with you, and you can get back into Battlegrounds.
Yes, I know. Before everyone stops playing it, damn it. Yeah, I love that. It's a lot of fun.
It is really good.
The Xbox Scorpio had specs release is better than the PS4 Pro and better than Xbox One. No shocker there. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I was actually talking about Scorpio with so there's a guy that I work with, I share an office with, who when the console, the initial PS4 and Xbox like wars were happening, he went Xbox because he wanted to play Halo. And I and most of the rest of the civilized world went PS4 because we wanted to play everything else.
Or Destiny, but yeah.
Destiny mostly, but there's a fair number of there was a long period of time where where PS4 had a few exclusives that were, or at least console exclusives, benefits like for Destiny, where it's like you get these extra things earlier, which is still stupid, and I hope that they don't do that with Destiny 2, because how much would that suck for Destiny 2 to come out on PC finally? And they're like, yeah, but PS4 still gets these extra strikes and raids earlier than you do. That would suck.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he plays on Xbox, and I play on PS4, obviously. And we both agreed that we were still both more interested in the PS4 Pro than the Scorpio. And the reason for that is, so the reason for me is pretty simple. I don't play anything on. I have an Xbox One. I haven't used it in probably a year. The only games that I've played on it were the ones that I got for free as part of Games with Gold before I remembered to cancel that because I wasn't using it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I bought this thing. I just hate money. I should have bought a third PS4. I would have gotten more use out of it. But I have two PS4s, and I want to get a PS4 Pro because it's better for VR. And there's games like Horizon that look better on it. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I would like to get a PS4 Pro. There isn't really anything on Xbox that I want to play. Halo, sure, I'd like to play Halo, but I wouldn't $400 like to play Halo.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, well, I want to play Halo, but I can still do that with my Xbox One. So if I'm gonna buy a .5 console, like the PS4.5, the PS4 Pro, or the Xbox 1.5, the Scorpio, he's like, I'm gonna buy a PS Plus or PS4 Pro, PS Plus, because then I can play Horizon and all these other games that I currently can't play because I only have an Xbox, and that's interesting to me. And that was that story.
Yeah, I'm looking at the specs. The specs are good. I mean,
they're good. Yeah,
they're good.
Very good.
They're better than what's currently out there.
Yeah, like the biggest thing, it has native 4K instead of upscaled 4K, and that's a big fucking deal.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a big deal for console players, I think. No,
throwing shade.
Well, no, because it's 4K at 30 FPS.
Oh, good point.
So I think coming from a PC focus, it's like I'd rather have a really super fucking solid 1080p 60 than 4K, honestly.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I'm sure they can do the HDR thing. Well, actually, they are doing the HDR thing, which I don't know if you've seen HDR, PS4 Pro HDR with Horizon on an HDR TV. It's fucking amazing. Like, it looks really, really good. So they're gonna do that. If I could get 1080p, super solid 60, and HDR, like I'm pretty well sold on that. But also helps that I don't actually own an Xbone, so it's like I'm not like I have a PlayStation, I have a PS4. I'm not gonna buy a PS4 Pro. I'll wait for the PS4 Next or whatever the fuck they call it. But yeah, it's this. I think the biggest thing to note is that they have reached. They made some promises that they're going to reach X number of freaking gigaflops, teraflops, and they've reached that. It was like 17 teraflops or something. But they've basically reached their goal, which is a good sign because, you know, sometimes, you know, they overpromise, underdeliver. And in this case, we're saying, no, like we're gonna deliver in fall of 2017, and so far it's looking like it's pretty much exactly what we said it was gonna be, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and like, I guess thinking about it, like the reason that I wouldn't buy, like, my example is kind of a shitty one because I have the Xbone, so obviously I'm choosing between two consoles that I already have the previous version of. So, like, from your perspective of you don't have an Xbone because I don't know, you like money more than I do. You're less abusive towards your wallet. Like, I guess it makes sense to look at the Scorpio and be like, yeah, okay, if I'm gonna get an Xbox One, this is the Xbox One to get. But man, I don't know. It just seems like it has. It seems like it has Halo. Like, it seems like it has less. It seems to me like there are more reasons to buy a Nintendo Switch than there are to buy an Xbox right now.
Yeah, right now. You're right. Right now, but, totally.
Yeah, like at least with the Switch, I've got Zelda, I've got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe coming up soon, which it sounds like it's just going to be a re-release, but they're actually adding a lot of new features, including battle mode, which is a big fucking deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we haven't had that since like the fucking 64, man. And Splatoon 2 later this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's portable, so like I can play it on the plane. Like, all of these are reasons where I'm like, okay, yeah, you know what? I would rather, if I didn't have the Switch, if I didn't already have the Switch, I would say I would rather get the Switch than an Xbox Scorpio.
Yeah.
In fact, I would rather get the Switch than a PS4 Pro as well, considering that I already have the PS4.
Yeah, man. I do want to Switch because I've gotten so many hours in my Shield Portable, and the Switch is basically that with a bigger screen.
Yeah,
because I say that almost literally, except for, you know, maybe like obviously the Nintendo specific games, but you know that they're gonna put homebrew on that bitch. You know,
yeah, probably.
And you're gonna be able to run emulators and everything, which is gonna make it exactly what my Shield is used for. So yeah, it's hard. It helps that I don't have any money because that really makes the buying decision super easy.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's tough, man. Like, I want one so bad.
Yeah. I haven't been playing mine lately because I beat Ganon in Zelda. I definitely didn't finish it. There's too much of that fucking game to ever actually finish it. But I'm fine with that too, because now it means that when I do need to get on a plane, I have something to do.
You know, and I know that we're going like way over time here, but I'm finding that same thing happening with Mass Effect.
Yeah.
I'm on the snow planet Vold.
I haven't been there yet, so careful.
Okay, yeah. So I'm just doing missions. I'll keep it super vague. I'm doing missions, and then it's like side mission. Okay, cool. Okay, I found a thing. Oh, that triggers another mission. Okay, cool. You know, and like I'm doing all these things and everything. I'm like, holy fuck! Like, I've spent hours on this planet. I need to go do something else. And as a mission, it said, oh yeah, go back to the first planet and do this thing. Okay, yeah, I'll go back to the first planet because that place pretty dope, and I already have like a little some setup there. So let me go there and drive around and have fun and do all those missions. So I do a couple missions there for a little bit. I'm like, okay, cool, you know. And then it's like, oh yeah, we need you to go to we need you to go investigate this thing off planet. I was like, cool, yeah, new planets do this. Fucking sends me back to the snow planet. There's so much stuff to do. I've logged so much time in the game, and it's funny because initially I was like, man, like, I'd love to do a review on this game, but I want to beat it first. That is never gonna happen.
Yeah,
you know, and it's like, it's upsetting because it's like I can either rush through it and do a review off of just like the main storyline, which probably would be okay, but then I would completely lose out on having the entire full experience. And I think I'm kind of okay with that. I'm okay with not doing that, just kind of have experience for myself, you know? But yeah, there's just a lot of shit to do.
Yeah. Did you see the patch from today and the like animation improvement.
Yes, that's definitely something we should talk about actually.
Oh yeah, seriously. Like I haven't actually played the patch yet, but I've seen some of the screenshots, and I think that might actually be the most understated patch note that's ever existed in a video game ever. Because the patch note literally just says some fixes to animations and dialogue sequences.
Dude.
And literally what they did is it was like, oh, man, I don't know. They took a fucking Picasso and turned it into the Mona Lisa, you know? Like they seriously took like, and like the animations before, they didn't really bother me. Like every once in a while it'd be kind of like the camera
cringy,
would face in some weird direction, or I'd be talking to someone and she'd just be randomly super wide-eyed like she was fucking blazed out of her mind or something.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
I'm like, all right, Cora, calm the fuck down. Jesus Christ.
No, I'm a sorry huntress. I must tell you again.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd be like talking to Liam or something. He'd be like, hey, Pathfinder, you want some of this?
Dude, it's so one thing they did mess with the animations in terms of like the faces. They're not so wide-eyed, but another thing they changed, which is super subtle in terms of like what they had to do to fix it, but my god, it made a huge difference. Before, the whites of everybody's eyes were like white from end to end, right? Yeah. They've actually added shading around the edges of the eye to create, some depth. And oh my god, like that makes such a huge difference. Even like I think is her name Suvi, the hot Irish chick that drives the car that I'm trying so hard, but man, she
drives the car.
Yeah, sorry, whatever. Right? So, anyways, her animations actually still look kind of the same. Her eyes don't wander as much as they did before, but the fact that her eyes aren't like straight white and just like they look like they're wide open because you see so much white, that made a huge difference in that character's look.
Yeah, definitely. Like I'm on GameSpot. GameSpot actually has a pretty good side-by-side video of some of the conversations, and like they didn't just change like the faces. Like they went in and added like it's going right now through a conversation that you have with Addison, and like it changed her posture. It changed like she does like a face palm animation in the middle of like, oh my god, you are such an idiot sort of thing, because she's kind of a dick like that. Like it's suddenly they took Mass Effect and they made it Mass Effect, man.
Yeah.
It's finally Mass Effect.
And like I don't want to get people's hopes too far up, because I mean it's no Pixar level, right? Which is an example I like to use, because it's not.
It never was, but yeah.
Yeah, but it still looks way better than before, and it looks good, and it's digestible, I think, is the biggest thing. Like some of the faces, man, like some of the faces are just so fucking like just out there when they move, or even just when they just standing there. It makes you like physically like react, like, oh god, oh Jesus.
Yeah, I've got it paused at the moment because they've got a side by side of the female writer right now. Lol. Someone at BioWare needed to think about that before they named the character Ryder. Anyway, and so like on the left it's the original, and on the right it's the new one. And in the new one, she just kind of looks like she's mildly interested in whatever. I think she's talking to Suvi in this. Mildly interested in whatever Suvi has to say. And in the second one, in the original one, she looks mildly interested in devouring Suvi's soul.
It's a good video. It's a really good video. Actually, this is perfect. This is exactly what I wanted to see. It's a very welcome change. Here's what sucks though. There's a lot of players that have already put 40 hours into the game, who are over it. I've only put like probably 15, and so I'm still pretty, because like I'm doing all this side bullshit. Like I'm still pretty short in the story here. So yeah, I'm looking for. I'm just glad that I can go into now a romance with like all the ladies and not have to look past the whole face thing.
Yeah,
I have to just like
I've been looking for a reason to replay the game. This might finally be it.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited about this. I'm probably gonna play a little bit of it tonight.
Yep.
This looks good. And they did a bunch of other stuff too. They apparently added and again I haven't played it yet, so I haven't tested it yet. But one of the most frustrating, like more frustrating to me than the animations in Mass Effect Andromeda, was the moving from planet to planet. Like,
yeah, that's right. That was a big deal.
I'm used to previous Mass Effect games where you go to a system and what you do, click on planet, nothing here, back out. Click on another planet, oh, you can scan it for something. That's cool. Scan it, you found the thing, back out. You can just keep going like that. And in like 5 minutes, you've explored the system and you're now on to the one thing that you went there for in the first place. Because I always do that last. I check all the other planets first for anything interesting. And then I'm like, all right, now time to go to this planet over here and do the mission that I'm here for.
Mm-hmm.
In Andromeda, they did the whole like, all right, well, we've got to move the ship between planets. So let's do the whole like flying around thing. So it's like, all right, let's go check out this planet. Oh, fuck, I didn't want to go to this planet. Shit. And then 20 minutes later, okay, now it's time to go back to the planet that I actually wanted to. And apparently you can just skip that now. And that I'm
which is going to make going through and basically 100%ing all the different systems going to be way easier.
Yeah.
It was funny, like even my kid who's like super into space right now, like we're sitting downstairs, it was like Saturday morning, and we're sitting downstairs, and he's watching me, play because I'm driving the car, right? He's like, "Is this your car?" I was like, "Yeah, it's cool, huh?" And he's like, "Yeah," and I'm driving around and shit. And then I go to space, and he's all like, "Oh," and he's calling the planets like what he thinks they are based off of our system, So it's like, "Oh, right. That's Neptune, or that's Jupiter," and so. Even he got bored with like he lost interest. It was like, I was like, look, Declan, now we're flying into the stars, and it's like, oh, he's like, oh, Neptune, and then it's like, oh yeah, we'll go to the next one. And before I get to the next planet, he checked out. He's like, I'm out of here.
I really wanted this. I really wanted to believe this theory, especially when you were first like talking about, yeah, even my kid, I was playing Mass Effect, and I really wanted him to just be like you're like, oh yeah, check it out, Declan. We're flying through the stars, and he'd be like, I think Shepard was indoctrinated at the end of Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna set him straight, young man. I'm gonna set him straight. I want you to know, all right?
Yeah.
The stories, the kids at school may tell you stories, but trust your father on this one. Shepard was indoctrinated at the end of Mass Effect 3.